Hello, my name is Daniel Williams, and my featured presentation today will be centered around the Islamic faith. The question posed, does the Islamic faith provide insight into the future of Pakistan? As we previously learned, 97% of Pakistanis are Muslim. Also, Pakistan houses 11% of all Muslims worldwide. Their faith influences their everyday lives, just as our faith as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints influences our lives. So, how does their religion weigh in on terrorism, education for women, and relations with the United States? Such doctrines will influence Pakistanis and ultimately Pakistan as a nation. Well, as it turns out, that is an extremely difficult question to answer, as it might depend on who you ask, as each Muslim defines their faith a little bit differently. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is led ultimately by Christ, who communicates with a living prophet. The prophet also acts as a spokesman. If a member of the church were to commit horrible acts in the name of faith, the prophet could publicly separate this person from the true faith, thus protecting the good name of the church and clarifying church doctrines, teachings, and practices. There, sadly, is no spokesman for all of Islam. This allows for any terrorist who claims to be a member of the Islamic faith to be grouped with all Muslims. Very sad indeed. So, what are the origins of the Islamic faith and who runs the Islamic faith? Well, after the death of the Prophet Muhammad, Islam moved out of Mecca and Saudi Arabia and began to conquer neighboring nations. Initially, these nomadic rulers did not know how to rule a people, so they used what they had, the Quran. And when the Quran didn't specify what to do, they defaulted to local laws and customs. And this worked pretty well. Eventually, leaders got together and talked about what Muhammad did or would have done and created the Hadith, or tradition. From the Hadith and Quran, they created the Sharia, the all-encompassing law, in both legal, social, and religious aspects of life. Many today say that the current teachings of Islam do not mirror those taught by Muhammad. In fact, Islamic scholars have stated that the true Islamic faith was hijacked centuries ago by those seeking political and monetary gains, strong words, the teachings of Muhammad long ago manipulated. Interestingly, many terrorists are not pious people at all. Many suicide bombers do not regularly attend church service. Many also visit prostitutes, drink alcohol, and have drug addiction, all things contrary to the teachings of the Quran. These weakened people are then taught a militant form of jihad. They're taught an incomplete form of the Islamic faith. Osama bin Laden is a great example of this. He called America to turn away from secularism, from immorality, and from homosexuality and feminism. Yet, when the United States Army raided his bases, they found pornographic magazines. It seems that the religious aspect of the militant groups is a facade, used to lure the weak, the uneducated, and the poor into a war that is about power, gain, and control. So, we know that there is an extremist group of Islam who do not believe in the education of women over the age of 10, who do not like the United States, and who commit acts of terror. But what about the mainstream Islam in Pakistan? How do they feel about these issues? Well, again, it varies a little bit by where you live in Pakistan, but generally, moderate Muslims encourage education. Thus, we see in the future of Pakistan that education will continue to rise, and hopefully the same for women's education. Also, the majority of Muslims disdain the acts of terror committed in the name of jihad, so we can expect that the state and the military of Pakistan will continue to fight terrorism. Lastly, mainstream Pakistans also hate the United States, but not for religious issues, which is complex and another discussion involving political disputes. But it seems that the religion of Islam does not seem to have a large factor on the relation of Pakistan and the United States. Just one more final thought in closing to kind of come back to what we were talking about originally. I believe if Muslims could somehow regulate or make a reform of the religion of Islam, and have a central body or a spokesman, the future would be much brighter. Clerics would be in a position to regulate doctrines of Islam. Maybe not all of Muslims would agree, but maybe there'd be some kind of regulation and teaching so that they could publicly go against acts of terror. I think if this were done, groups of terror would more easily be targeted, women's education would increase, and the seemingly fluctuating government of Pakistan could become more stable. I think that we should care a lot about the future of Pakistan. They're our brothers and sisters, and also because they could potentially be very dangerous to the United States. So that's my futures presentation. These are my sources. I hope you all enjoyed this, and congratulations to the end of the semester, and hope you all have a great next semester. Thank you.